After studying this module, you will be able to know about the popular modern management theories, understand the applicability of these theories in modern management decision making, and identify the pros and cons of different management theories. Classical and neoclassical approaches constitute the traditional school of management thought, and the other approaches are often termed as modern or contemporary approaches to management. Number 1, the behavioral science approach. Number 2, quantitative or management science approach. Number 3, the systems approach. Number 4, the contingency approach. And number 5, quality school of management. Let us begin this module with the concept of behavioral science approach. As management research continued in the 20th century, questions began to come up regarding the interactions and motivations of the individual within the organization. Management principles developed during the classical period were simply not useful in dealing with many management situations and could not explain the behavior of individual employees. Classical theory ignored employee motivation and behavior. As a result, the behavioral school was a natural outgrowth of this revolutionary management experiment. Behavioral science uses research and the scientific method to determine and understand behavior at the workplace. Behavioral sciences include rational science, which deals with relationships, interaction, communication, networks, associations, and rational strategies or dynamics between organisms or cognitive entities in a social system. Behavioral science draws from a number of different fields and theories, including industrial psychology, organizational psychology, industrial sociology, cultural anthropology, administrative theory, and political science. One application of the behavioral science approach can be seen in a field called organizational development. Organizational development is an ongoing, systematic process of implementing effective organizational change. The emphasis on using quantitative data and qualitative research methods to determine how people process information and understand social relationships is important to helping managers better understand the proven methods for increasing employee motivation and employee productivity. The behavioral science approach and the myriad of fields it encompasses is the most common study of management science today. The behavioral science approach is also called as the human resource approach. It gave importance to attitude, behavior, and performance of individuals and groups in the organization. Behavioral scientists brought two new aspects to the study of management. Number 1, they gave a more complex view of human beings and their needs and motives. For example, Abraham Maslow gave importance to self-actualization need of human beings. And number 2, they used scientific methods to study the group behavior in organizations. Basic assumptions and propositions of behavioral science approach are: organizations are socio-technical systems. The management must integrate both the systems. The work and interpersonal behavior of people in the organization is influenced by many factors. Employees are motivated not only by physiological needs but also by social and psychological needs. Different people have different perceptions, attitudes, needs, and values. These differences must be found out and recognized by the management. In an organization, conflicts are unavoidable and inevitable. Personal goals and organizational goals must be joined together or must be in sync. Let us move on to discuss the contributions of behavioral scientists. Elton Mayo's contribution came as a part of Hawthorne studies, a series of experiments that rigorously applied classical management theory only to reveal its shortcomings. The general conclusion from the Hawthorne studies was that human relations and the social needs of workers are crucial aspects of business management. The principle of human motivation helped revolutionize theories and practices of management. The theorists who contributed to this school viewed employees as individuals, resources and assets to be developed and worked with, not as machines as in the past. Several individuals and experiments contributed to this theory. Abraham Maslow, James March, and Herbert Symons, Douglas McGregor, Victor Room, Frederick Herzberg, Chester Bernard, etc. made important contributions to the behavioral science approach. The main contributions made by the above behavioral scientists are Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs theory. Human beings have many needs. Some are lower level needs like physiological needs, safety and security needs, and social needs. These needs must be satisfied first. The higher level needs are ego needs and self-actualization needs. These needs are satisfied after satisfying lower level needs. Now we will study James March and Herbert Symons' approach. There are many types of communications in an organization. This is essential for the performance of the organization. Let us now understand what deductions Douglas McGregor made in his theory X and theory Y. Different managers have different assumptions about people. This depends on the situation. Managers may have negative assumptions about people. That is, human beings dislike work and therefore they must be prodded, forced, controlled, directed and threatened with punishment to make them work. This was an aspect of theory X. Managers may have positive assumptions about people, that is, people love to work and that people have self-control and self-direction. These were the components of theory Y. Victor Room expectancy theory of motivation is the next we would study. People will be motivated to reach a goal if they believe, number 1, in worth of the goal, number 2, in the steps taken to reach that goal. Now let us discuss Frederick Herzberg's two-factor theory. There are many factors that influence behavior and work of people in an organization. One group of factors is called as the hygiene factors. These include salary, working conditions, supervision, etc. If these factors exist in the organization, then there will be no dissatisfaction. However, these factors will not motivate the workers. The second group of factors is called as the motivators. They are recognition, achievement, challenging work, responsibility, etc. These factors bring satisfaction and motivation both. Let us now discuss Chester Bernard's theory. The managers must maintain a system of cooperation in the organization. As a group, these theorists discovered that people worked for inner satisfaction and not for materialistic rewards shifting the focus to the role of the individuals in an organization's performance. Let us now move on to discuss the quantitative or management science approach. The quantitative approach was initiated during the 1940s during World War II. No one would ever think that from a war, a new method of management could be born or evolved. When we think of wars, there are a lot of images that come to our mind, but certainly new management methods are not one of those images. However, during World War II, scientists, mathematicians, physicists all got together to solve some military problems. Most notable are the atomic bomb. This cooperation and teamwork was the foundation that helped develop the quantitative school of management thought. New management was looked at as a group of systems to improve decision making. And when the problem is how to split an atom, the decision making has to be very precise and incorporate statistical analysis, information models, and computer simulations. When the Americans entered the war in the year 1941, they used the British model to form Operations Research (OR) team to determine how to deploy troops, submarines, and other military personnel and equipment most effectively. For example, operation research techniques were used to establish the optimum pattern that search planes should fly to try to locate enemy ships. After the war, businesses also began using these techniques. The quantitative school of management strives to combine classical management theory and behavioral science through the use of statistical models and simulations. Let us revise the concept of classical management and behavioral management approach. Classical management theory focused on how to find the best possible way for workers to perform their tasks. In practice, it was broken down further into two parts, namely, first, how to increase productivity, and second, how management or the company can be organized to achieve productivity that was a part of the classic administrative branch. These two areas of focus worked together to develop theories and ideas that helped companies to be more effective. The behavioral aspect came into play when companies started looking at how to motivate, lead, and indeed manage their employees. Companies realized that people were a part of the equation and needed to be incorporated into the entire process. This part of the process looked at how people behaved and why they behaved the way they behaved, then blended those findings into management theories to get more out of the workers. Now we will learn applicability of quantitative management theory. From these beginnings, companies began to look more scientifically at decision making and not just with reactive thought process and instincts. Quantitative management theory began to shape and form scientific or specific areas on how decisions could be processed to ensure more informed results. Since this theory really started with scientists and mathematicians, it is easy to see how a great deal of theories and processes they developed centered on statistical models and data to get the best possible result. The quantitative school of management consists of several branches and can be structured in the following areas. Number 1, management science. Number 2, operations management. Number 3, management information system. And number 4, systems management theory. Let us take a look at these in a little more detail so you can see how they helped shape and develop the quantitative school of management as well as how decisions are made. Management science originally started to treat the problems that could occur or arise with global warfare. In today's world, it encourages and supports managers in using maths and statistics to solve problems. When we take a second to think about it, most of the time managers are using statistics and some sort of mathematics to better understand problems so that they can come up with rigid or tight and good solutions. Today, this view encourages managers to use mathematics, statistics, and other quantitative techniques to make management decisions. Managers can use computer models to figure out the best way to do something, save both money and time. Managers use several science applications. Mathematical forecasting helps make projections that are useful in planning process. For example, inventory modeling helps control inventories by mathematically establishing how and when to place an order for the product. Queuing theory helps allocate service personnel or workstations to minimize customer waiting and service cost. Operations management is a narrow branch of the quantitative approach to management. It focuses on managing the process of transforming materials, labor, and capital into useful goods and services. The product outputs can be either goods or services. Effective operations management is a concern for both manufacturing and service organizations. The resource inputs or factors of production include the wide variety of raw materials, technologies, capital information, and people needed to create finished products. The transformation process, in turn, is the actual set of operations or activities through which various resources are utilized to produce finished goods or services of value to the customers or clients. In many ways, it can be looked at like a traffic cop directing all parts of the traffic. Materials can go that way and employees can go this way, while capital has to wait for the light of the change. In the end, these three areas come together to help the final product leave the factory or be presented to the customer. Management Information System, commonly known as the MIS, is the most recent subfield of the quantitative school. A management information system organizes past, present, and projected data from both internal and external sources and processes it into usable information, which it then makes available to the managers at all organizational levels. The information systems are also able to organize data into usable and accessible formats. As a result, managers can identify alternatives quickly, evaluate alternatives by using a spreadsheet program, pose a series of what-if questions, and many select the best alternatives based on the answers to these questions. This information helps managers make decisions because it supplies information such as tracking trends or showing what might happen to a company in 90 days if sales stay the way they are. It literally manages all these informations and makes it available for managers to look at, review, and analyze. Systems management theory is a little more basic to understand. It takes inputs, puts them through a transformation process, produces outputs, and finally gives feedback on the systems of the company it is using. The system could be production or a system for paying their bills or even accounting. If we look at a system like a machine, it is easy to understand the process. Take baking a cake for example. The cake goes into oven, then the oven heats up and bakes the cake. That is transformation process. The cake is then taken out of the oven, that is output, and tasted, that is feedback. If you did all this right, you have a good tasting cake. System management theory has been discussed in the next section in detail. All four of these, management science, operational management, management information system, and systems management theory can be present in a company to help managers take good decisions. Just like our cake example, some people might use more sugar than the others to bake a cake, or some may use a different type of oven. But in the end, the cake does get baked. So these four areas can be present in a company in varying degrees and used by some or all the departments and managers to help them make decisions. Management science, operations management, management information system, and management theory are separate applied areas and beyond the scope of this chapter. However, general sequence and some quantitative tools only for reference are the logical sequence of management science quantitative school of management can be summed up as number 1, problem formulation, number 2, gathering information, number 3, data construction, 4, mathematical models, 5, exploring tentative solutions, 6, executing the best solution, 7, and lastly, testing the suggested solution. The different quantitative tools used in management sciences are number 1, the queuing theory, number 2, linear programming, number 3, PERT charts. PERT stands for Program Evaluation and Review Technique. 4, the critical path method, commonly known as the CPM method. 5, the Monte Carlo method. 6, the decision theory. 7, business simulation. And lastly, 8, the probability theory. Let us now move on to the next approach, that is systems approach. The systems approach to management sought to find an equal balance between the extremely impersonal scientific approach and the individually focused human relations approach. In this approach, we look at all the components of an organization as part of one large system. The systems management theory has a significant effect on management science. A system is an interrelated set of elements functioning as a whole. An organization as a system is composed of 4 elements. Number 1, inputs, that includes materials or human resources. 2, transformation process, that means technological and management process. Output, thirdly, which includes products or services. And fourth and lastly, feedback, which includes reaction from the environment. In relationship to an organization, inputs include resources such as raw material, money, technology, and people. These inputs go through a transformation process where they are planned, organized, motivated, and controlled to ultimately meet the organizational goals. The outputs are the products or services designed to enhance the quality of life or productivity for customers or clients. Feedback includes comments from customers or clients using the product. This overall system framework applies to any department or program in the overall organization. A system is a collection of parts unified to accomplish an overall goal. If one part of the system is removed, the nature of the system is changed as well. For example, a pile of sand is not a system. If one removes a sand particle, you will still have a pile of sand. However, a functioning car is a system. Remove the carburetor and you have no longer got a working car. A system can be looked at as having inputs, processes, outputs and outcomes. In systems management theory, we have three basic types of systems. Number one, open system, which means a system that continually interacts with the environment around it. For example, a manufacturer might use several different suppliers of flour to make their product they produce, or an organization might have to move or change as the demand of the customers change. Number two, closed system. Closed system is the exact opposite of an open system. It is a system or a company independent of the environment around it. Usually, when we look at the closed system, we are looking at a very high technical types of products that have limited sources of inputs and produce a consistent product or output like space satellites. In fact, satellites are produced in a protected environment like a laboratory to ensure that there is no contamination. One of the simplest images that can help you grasp these first two types is a jar. When it is open, it's an open system. It can interact with air, water and anything else around it. When it has a lid on it, it's a closed system. It can only interact with what is inside the jar. There are no outside influences on it. The third basic type is a subsystem. This is much easier to understand. This is a system that is part of a larger system, much like how the train system around an airport can get you from terminal to terminal, the larger part of the system. Another way to get a mental image of a subsystem is to think about the human body. One large system makes us what we are. However, we have the subsystems of digestive system, nervous system and circulatory system contained within us. In order to understand the entire system, we must first be able to recognize the role of each division and the department plays within the whole system. These divisions or departments are known as subsystems. Each subsystem can be viewed as its own entity to see how it fits into the entire organization and to determine the role it plays in a larger system. Each element must be looked at individually. Additionally, the result of the interactions between these elements must be explored, as well as the whole that is created as a result of these interactions. The systems theory encourages managers to look at organization from a broader perspective. Managers are beginning to recognize the various parts of the organization and in particular the interrelations of the part. It is important for us to know few terminologies for understanding of the systems approach. Entropy is the tendency of systems to deteriorate or break down over time. Synergy is the ability of the whole system to equal more than the sum of its parts. Look at an organization. Inputs would include resources such as raw materials, money, technologies and people. These inputs go through a process where they are planned, organized, motivated and controlled ultimately to meet the organization's goals. Outputs would be products or services to a market. Outcomes would be, for example, enhanced quality of life or productivity for customers, clients and productivity. Feedback would be information from human resources carrying out the process, customers, clients using the products, etc. Feedback also comes from the larger environment of the organization, such as influence from government, society, economics, and technologies. This overall system framework applies to any system including subsystems, departments, programs, etc. in overall organization. Levels of systems. Envisioning the world as a collection of systems was the only first step for the general system theorists. One of the more important recent steps has been the identification of hierarchies of systems ranging from very specific systems to general ones. Identifying systems at various levels has helped translate abstract general systems theory into more concrete terms. An hierarchy of systems relevant to management is the 7-level scheme of living systems shown in the figure. Notice that each system is a subsystem of the one above it. Our next approach is Contingency Approach. This was founded in the year 1960. The contingency perspective builds upon the systems approach, yet recognizes that there are numerous factors that may impact an organization's performance. This approach also looks at other theories that claim to be defining management approach with skepticism. The claim is that there is no best way to manage. The contingency approach recognizes that all business situations are different. Each event comes with its own set of problems, challenges, and internal and external environmental factors. Managers who subscribe to the contingency school of management believe that systems and theories in place to run the business, the right thing to do will depend on a complex variety of critical environmental and internal contingencies. There can be different structures and management philosophies in place unique to each department or business unit. They may need to change based on the internal and external pressures or circumstances. Thus, there might be plans and systems in place, and they can be the same or different for each department. But when problems arise, those systems and plans very likely will be changed. There are several key elements or aspects of contingency management that we need to understand, so we rarely can fully grasp the concept. The first component is business continuity planning. Business continuity planning is planning and enacting activities that either prevent problems from arising or allow for a plan should be an anticipated risk actually occur. The preventing of problems from happening portion is a lot like emergency brake in a car. Thus, it was planned for and is in place should a critical part of your company fail. We can all agree that would be a very serious issue, and car manufacturers have planned for that by including an emergency brake in the car. The second portion or aspect is having a disaster recovery plan. A disaster recovery plan is planned process or procedure a company will take to recover from a disaster. When we say a disaster, we mean something very serious such as your data center burning down. In this case, should something of this magnitude happen, there would be a plan in place to continue working while the issue was addressed, as well as a plan to address the issue should it actually happen. It is something like an insurance policy and plan if something catastrophic happens to your business and you cannot continue to work until it is resolved. Companies do not just come up with the issues or areas that might cause them to lose time or money and need some sort of contingency plan. Rather, they conduct what is called as an environmental scan or environmental scanning to understand, for lack of better word, what is out there. Environmental scanning is the careful monitoring of an organization's internal environment and external environment to look for early signs of opportunities and threats. Some of these macro environmental factors or contingencies to be considered include change in technology, demographic shifts, economic conditions, cultural factors, government and legislation, etc. If management is flexible, then management can respond to each of these factors and act accordingly. Interestingly, studies of companies that operate in uncertain environment are more successful with a flexible approach to management, while companies in a more stable environment do better with a more rigid and structured management style of operations. In order to determine the most effective management approach, each situation would be evaluated separately to determine how best to apply any individual management theory. Contingency characteristics. Some management scholars are attracted to contingency thinking because it is a workable compromise between the systems approach and what can be called as a purely situational perspective. The figure illustrates this relationship. The systems approach is often criticized for being too general and abstract, although the purely situational view, which assumes that every real-life situation requires a distinctly different approach, has been called hopelessly specific. Contingency advocates have tried to take advantage of common denominators without getting trapped into simplistic generalization. Three characteristics of the contingency approach are: 1. An open system perspective, 2. A practical research orientation, and number 3. A multivariate approach. Let us now understand the concept of Quality School of Management. The Quality School of Management is a comprehensive concept for leading and operating an organization aimed at continually improving performance by focusing on customers while addressing the needs of all stakeholders. In other words, this concept focuses on managing the total organization to deliver high quality to customers. The Quality School of Management considers organization makeup. Organizations are made up of complex systems of customers and suppliers. Every individual, executive, manager, and worker functions as both a supplier and a customer. Quality of goods and services. Meeting the customer's requirements is a priority goal and presumed to be a key organizational survival and growth strategy. Continuous improvement in goods and services. Recognizing the need to pinpoint internal and external requirements and continuously strive to improve. It is an idea that says the company is good, but it can always become better. Employees working in teams. These groups are primary vehicles for planning and problem solving, developing openness and trust. Confidence among members of the organization at all levels is an important condition for success. Now we will understand quality management techniques. Quality management involves employees in decision making as a way to prevent quality problems. The very notion of continuous improvement suggests that managers, teams, and individuals learn from both their accomplishments and their mistakes. Quality managers help their employees gain insights from personal work, experience, and they encourage everyone to share with others what they have learned. In this way, everyone reflects upon his or her own work experiences, including failures, and passes their newfound knowledge to others. Sharing experiences in this manner helps to create an organization that is continuously discovering new ways to improve. Two popular quality management techniques are the Kaizen approach. The Kaizen approach uses incremental, continuous improvement for people, products, and processes. Kaizen is the commitment to work towards steady, continual improvement. The best support for continuous improvement is in an organization is that people who give it high priority of learning. In this process, everyone in the organization participates by identifying opportunities for improvement, testing new approaches, recording the results, and recommending changes. And the second approach is Reengineering approach. The Reengineering approach focuses on sensing the need to change, seeing change coming, and reacting effectively to it when it comes. The Reengineering approach to management focuses on creating change, big change, and fast. It centers on sensing the need to change, seeing change coming, and reacting effectively to change when it comes. Reengineering, the radical redesign of business processes to achieve dramatic improvement in cost, quality, service, and speed, requires that every employee and manager should look at aspects of the company's operation and find ways to rebuild the organizational system to improve efficiency, identify redundancies, and eliminate waste in every possible way. Reengineering is neither easy nor cheap, but companies that adopt this plan have reaped remarkable results and fruits. Reengineering efforts look at how jobs are designed and raise critical questions about how much work and work processes can be optimally configured. Although many people believe that reengineering is a synonym for downsizing or outsourcing, this is not true. Yes, downsizing or outsourcing may be a byproduct of reengineering. However, goal of reengineering is to bring about a tight fit between market opportunities and corporate abilities. After organizations are able to find this fit, new jobs should be created. Let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. Modern management approaches respect the classical human resource and quantitative approaches to management. However, successful managers recognize that although each theoretical school has limitations in its applications, each approach also offers valuable insights that can broaden a manager's option in solving problems and achieving organizational goals. Successful managers work to extend these approaches to meet the demands of a dynamic environment. Modern management approaches recognize that people are complex and variable. Employee needs change over time. People possess a range of talents and capabilities that can be developed. Organizations and managers, therefore, should respond to individuals with a wide variety of managerial strategies and job opportunities. Key themes to be considered include: organizations must reinvest in their most important asset, their people, and realize that their most important and complex resource is people as well. Managers must excel in their leadership responsibilities to perform numerous difficult tasks. They should be able to utilize quantitative decision-making tools to look for one best way to do something. The systems approach looks at all components of an organization to see how they interact and to create one larger system. The contingency perspective recognizes that all business situations are different and can have many internal and external factors that may impact outcomes. The commitment to meet customer needs guides organizations towards quality management and the continuous improvement of operations.